everybody. This is Kate's 8th visit with her Raptors of the Rockies to the Missoula Public Library. She says we are the only library she comes to anymore because we're the best behaved library. Everybody does exactly what she needs to do to keep the birds safe and keep you safe. So you should all give yourselves a big pat on the back. My name is Lynette, and I am one of the librarians here. A lot of you know me. Usually Karen is the one that does this announcement, but she's in a class today learning some cool new stuff. Before we start with Kate, I want to tell you a few things. You might see these cameras around the room. We're being filmed for MCAT right now. Actually, I don't think he started rolling yet. But if you do not want to be on the camera, you need to sit behind. You see where the corner of the room is there? If you sit behind there, you won't be on camera. So if anybody objects to being on camera for whatever reason, then you need to be behind that wall. We have all kinds of stuff going on at the library. Since you're at the activity program, I assume you know about the activity program. I'm going to talk about it anyway. We're going to film all of them for MCAT. So if you want to look and see yourself on TV, you can find out what time that is. Or if you want to relive this wonderful program. Next week, it's Moritz. He's a beautiful Bernese mountain dog, and he's a therapy dog. He's going to come and Barry, his human, is going to read the book that he wrote about Moritz. 4th of July, we're not going to have a program. We're closed that day, so I didn't think that it would be fair to make us come and do a program on the day we're closed. Plus, you're going to be too busy doing fireworks, right? And then July 11th is going to be My Pretty Pony. It's changed a little bit. Usually it's my daughter Kaylee who brings her horse. She's working up in Glacier Park doing trail rides. So if you want to go do some trail rides in Glacier Park, say hi to Kaylee. You know her from years previous. We're going to have Parsons Pony Farm come, and they're going to bring the ponies, and we're going to be out here on the sidewalk. We're going to close the street off behind so it'll be safe for kids and ponies. And this time, since her insurance is better than mine, kids will get to ride the ponies. That program's going to be 2 hours instead of just 1 hour, so everybody have time. You won't get to ride for long, but everybody will be able to get up on the pony and give it a little pat. So, and then the rest of them, Science Woman. We're going to have a really great party with a group called Helmet Tag, in case you're wondering what that is. It's a musical group, and they actually have a baby who performs with them, so they're a lot of fun. And then magician Jeff Lang is also going to be coming at the very end of the program. Every Thursday, if you haven't been coming to the library, we have movies every Thursday right at 2 o'clock. And this week it's going to be Dreamer. And we do have a list. You can get up at the desk and tell us all the movies. We might need to rearrange when we show some of these because some of them we're finding are a little difficult to get a hold of. So we haven't got our order in yet. So we might need to switch the order of some of them. These are the titles. And then also on Thursday, June 22nd at 7 p.m., if you are interested in space in NASA, we are having a program. I don't know much about it. It's Vision for Space Exploration. What does space exploration have to do with the Lewis and Clark exploration? Find out on Thursday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. in the large meeting room. We're also having a Lewis and Clark show on Friday. A group is coming from the National Guard with a really neat slideshow and a trunk with some things you can handle, hives and different equipment that Lewis and Clark would have used. And they're going to be here 2 o'clock on Friday. Okay, so everybody have their summer reading program? Everybody know about this? Have anybody earning great prizes? Got your ice cream already? Yeah, all right. Well, I'm going to turn over to Kate now.
That's great. Boy, you guys are going to have all sorts of stuff to do here. You might as well just... Was anybody here camped out waiting for them to open? Like sleeping in tents in the yard? Was this sort of just the most anticipated? Come on. We pretended last year that was the case. But I'm glad to see so many people. I sure know a lot of you. And others, maybe this is a brand new program. Maybe some of you haven't seen the Raptors of the Rockies program. And I guarantee no one has seen the bird that's in this box that we'll get out towards the end. This is a new bird. Makes me a little nervous. First time ever for a public program. Anyway, my name is Kate Davis. And Hannah, you knew that. It's one word. All the kids think that's one word. They never call me Kate or Davis. It's always Kate Davis. Been to your school? Well, this program has been around now. We just had our 1,000th program. And someone said, you mean this year? And I'm like, no. 1,000 programs in the last almost 19 years. And we're sort of a staple for schools. We take birds and fit, we have a Subaru out there. It's our 6th one. We fit 5 birds in there and go around. We've been to 115 schools in the state around western Montana. I like animals. Does anybody like animals? Every hand, every hand, every hand, every hand. Almost every hand. You know what you are? You are what I thought I was back at your age. You are a zoologist. Did you know that? So you have to say that. Say, I am a zoologist. I'm a zoologist. God, someone was yelling me that at on the chairlift up at Snowball this year. I am a zoologist. Anyway, that means you like animals. And when I was your age, I don't care what age you are, because ever since I can remember, I used to like monsters and dinosaurs and snakes and reptiles and all the turtles and amphibians and Godzilla and all that stuff, all that crazy stuff. And we had a club called the Junior Zoologist Club. I started that when I was 13. And I started rehabilitating baby raccoons, baby foxes, one baby skunk. That was enough. Mom and Dad said no more. You can imagine what the skunk did, but you can't imagine where he did it. He sprayed into our air conditioner in our house. Yeah. In the house, yes. So all my life I've been raising and releasing animals. And do you ever go to Petland and just see, oh, hey, look, Mom, let's go to Petland and let's get a rough-legged hawk. Is that what you do? No. Do you ever say, Mom, and I bet, and I have had the Harry Potter kids say, what do you want for Christmas? I want a snowy owl, right? Yeah, you do. No, you don't. Because these birds are protected, and that's why you can't simply go buy a rough leg or buy a saw-whet owl. So these birds are protected. So I had all this experience when I was a kid growing up rehabbing birds and mammals. And so I applied for a federal permit. And this is called a rehab license. So I get a box. Here's a bird that came in a box. Can you fix me up and can you let me go? You know what? I'm going to start with a hawk. Let's start with a hawk. Now this bird came in to a rehabilitator. You'll be fine. I'm going to get her out. This is kind of scary because last time she was pretty jumpy. Hey, this bird has a broken wing. Can you patch me up and let me go? Well, everybody, fold up your wing. Fold up your wing. Did you know birds have a hand? They have a hand, right? And when they flap, they're doing this. They're pulling themselves through the air just like you're swimming. This bird had a broken wing. And she's going to be really jumpy at first, but we'll get her out. Come on, Margot. Come here. Come here. Come on. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. There's a pretty hawk, and she's going to eventually sit here and be good, aren't you, Margot? Or what do? Ground you? No. Hey, hey, hey. Come on. Come on, Margot. There we go. This bird is actually, come on, stand up. Stand up. Not being very good. But this bird, as you can see, did have a broken wing. And this wing was broken right near the wrist. And so she couldn't make a cup and pull herself through the air. And so this is what we call, now this is one of the silliest names of a hawk. This is called a sharp, come on, Margot. This is called a sharp-shinned hawk. And they call them that because their legs are really skinny and the edge is sharp. And it's not like if you see a bird fly by, well, did it have a sharp leading edge on its tarsus? That's not a good field mark, but that's what they call this. And this is a true hawk. There, now she's going to stand up. Now that she's grabbing my hand and making me hurt. There. So there she is, showing off that sharp shin or the long skinny legs. And this is called an accipiter. These are the forest hawks that have short round wings, a long tail, and the way that you see them usually is they flap 5 times, glide, flap 5 times and glide. And the sharp-shinned hawk's the smallest. The next size is called a Cooper's hawk. We still have Alice Cooper, the Cooper's hawk, Alice the Cooper's hawk. She's at least 19 years old now. And the largest of the accipiters is called a goshawk. So these are forest hawks. And so in order to get through the foliage and get through the trees, they have these short, round wings. This bird broke her wing. She was about 4 or 5 months old. She was found on the East Side Highway. I'm going to make sure she's going to sit tight. And I want you to look at the field marks of a sharp-shinned hawk is this squared off tail. See how it's kind of square on the edges? And she has a round head. Now, a Cooper's hawk has a square head, like a blockhead, and they have a round tail. And the Females are twice the size of the male, 2 times bigger. So the male looks like a whole different species. He's tiny. He's half of her weight. And so these birds, you will see them hanging around, especially in the winter, hanging around your bird feeder. What are they eating? Your bird seed? What are they eating? Your birds. That's why it's a bird feeder. That's why you're bird feeding. We've got a bunch of bird feeders at our house. Now, I do love songbirds. I do very much love all birds. But there are very many songbirds. And what these birds are doing is they're weeding out. Now, they going for the biggest, the smartest, the best, the greatest? Are they going for the big ant? Are these trophy hunters going for the big, big, big? No. They're going for the sick, the old, the lame, the dumb, the stupid, the bird that isn't paying any attention, going, look at the pretty sky. Okay, so that's what they're doing, and they're weeding out those birds. Now, I know you guys like robins. If we had a pair of robins in this room, and we let them breed and have babies, 2 nests a year, and let those babies breed, in 10 years we'd have 19 million robins. So these birds are taking care of keeping the numbers in check. And raptors are the birds of prey. They're the hawks in one group and the owls in the other group. And these guys are the very top of the food chain. You know what a barometer is? It tells you what the weather's going to do. Well, raptors are barometers of the environmental health of an environment. And boy, do we have a lot of raptors in western Montana. So we have a good, healthy environment. Accipiters, the sharp-shinned, the coopers, and goshawks are ones that we don't often see. Now, this time of year, actually a little bit earlier, they will soar around, and you will see them soaring around. But usually you see them darting away from your bird feeder, and they have a plucking post. So if you're out in the woods and you see a stump or some kind of an area where there's a whole bunch of feathers all around it in the forest, it's probably an accipiter, sharp-shinned, coopers, or goshawk. This bird only eats birds, bird meat. I buy about, I'd say, 1,000 quail a year that I feed this bird, and she likes to eat the legs of the quail. And you can heat those up by the wood stove, folks, and bring them out in the winter. Yeah, this bird gets just quail legs. So in the wild, she has to find, catch, and kill prey. All the raptors do. Do they go down here to Ole's and get 3 for $1 hot dogs? No. Do they reach in their freezer and get a microwave burrito? No. They have to catch prey. And does the prey turn around and put its hands in the air and give up when it sees the hawk coming? No. So they have to catch prey that doesn't want to get caught. So in the wild, what we have is a mortality rate, or most of them die. Maybe 60, maybe 70% of them die their first year. Now, what about Margot? Could she have survived with a broken wing just running around on the ground? No. She probably would have died that first night because there are predators, terrestrial ground predators that might eat her. So in captivity, she joins us. She's 5 now, perhaps. We have a bald eagle that is 2. We have a golden eagle that's about 18. And so in captivity, they can double their lifespan. And a friend of mine had a red-tailed hawk for 38 years. Golden eagles can live to be in perhaps late 40s. So this is long term. They say you should be committed. I love it. You should be committed. I think I know what they mean. But these birds are ambassadors, and they do well, and they go around to schools and do environmental programs. Now look at those fierce red eyes on that bird. Those eyes were a dull pale yellow, and she was all brown on the front that first year. And as she gets older, those eyes are turning deep, deep, deep blood red. And that's a way of sort of relatively aging these birds. All they eat is birds, 99.9% birds. So they're very fast. Unfortunately, these are the ones that hit your window all the time, all the time. And what you can do is hang something in front of the glass, ribbons, or even, I use wool strips with BBs on the end. So it just shows them that there's some distance between whatever you have hanging in front of the glass and the glass itself, because they're seeing the reflection of the trees and they're going right after it, or they're chasing birds off your bird feeder. So these are birds that hit windows quite often. And Margot, good girl. This is the female. The male's half her size, and he has to mate with a bird that eats birds. I love that idea. We're going to put him back. Bye, Margot. Bye. Okay, so Yarn, that's the hard word I was trying to think of, yarn. I hang yarn in front of my windows. The hard word, why didn't you tell me that? So anyway, the Raptors of the Rockies has been around now, like I say, since 1988. We started out with a couple birds in a Subaru, an old beat-up car, and we've worked our way up to presenting programs for television and films and writing a book. I'm writing another book now. And our favorite show is Pea Green Boat. You guys listen to Pea Green Boat? This is pure coincidence that Annie Gard walked in right when I started this story. Do you know Annie Gard, anybody? Yes, there she is. But anyway, we do these programs on radio. And of course, it's Montana Public Radio. And everyone says, do you really have birds on the air? You just like Annie, we're going, let's pretend like we're getting a bird out. You know, wow, look at this bird, Ann. You know, wink, wink, wink. And we do these shows. Been doing them for many, many, many years. And so it's a way to reach a lot of other people other than these live programs. The programs have reached about 90,000 people, but I counted your family just once. Is that okay? Or I've actually counted you about 18 times. But so this program, this will probably be a favorite for many, many people. This is a bird that's been around in the program for a long time. This is one that, no, I didn't bring my cat. Although we do have some cat. Yeah, my dog. No, we don't bring our cat. Yes, this is an owl. There we go. You guys are fine. If you didn't make any noise, I'd wonder what was wrong, but you didn't do the one thing that we all have to do together. Aww. Yeah, that's what everyone does. They go, aww. Oh, look at the cute. Now, what if you were a mouse? Let's say you're a small little deer mouse. Would you say, Mom, look, it's a saw-whet owl? Oh, aren't they cute as a dickens? No, that's not what you would say. Now, this bird's name is Buster. And Buster has been with us since he was, and I named him because that was Buster Keaton's birthday when we got him. I heard that on Garrison Keillor. But Buster came to us as a youngster. He was not able to fly, and we have what we call a sub-permittee, licensed sub-permittee. And she kept this bird, and I said, is there a room you could let some live mice go and just see if this bird can hunt? She let live mice go in her basement. Live mice. Honey, don't go downstairs. I just let some mice go for the owl. And so this bird flew around. We were satisfied that he could capture food on his own. He wasn't quite flighted yet when we got him, and we tried to let him go by doing this, putting him in a kennel, having him view his surroundings for a long period of time, you know, maybe a week or so, and then opening the kennel door, and then perhaps the bird would hack out or come and fly back. Well, this bird came back right away with a bum wing. And so he's placed on a second permit, which is called a possession permit. And that allows me to keep these birds and use them in educational programs all over the place. Now, Buster is called a saw-whet owl because they make a sound like this. We can never get him to do that on the radio, can we? We have to fake it. But it sounds like sharpening a saw, like a cross-cut saw. Now, these birds were named in the 1800s when everyone in the eastern United States was sawing down trees, sawing down forests, firewood, you know, clearing forest. And so that sound of sharpening a saw blade was very common. So this name perhaps escapes people now why they're called that. But Buster would not have made it. He was a young bird, and he was at, again, that 60% mortality rate. So these birds don't live in these boxes. They have great big enclosures, and they're all lined up. I think there's like 11 enclosures. And I start at one end, and every night before I go to bed, I reach in the freezer, and there's the ice cream and the hamburger and the chicken, and then there's the quail, the squirrels, the heart meat, and the mice. That is my freezer at my house. And I reach in there and I grab out a couple squirrels, a couple mice, maybe some fish. I grab about 2 bags of mice. We actually go through about 15,000 mice a year. And they're thankfully donated from a genetics lab. And so we go through mice, quail, chickens, heart meat, and these birds eat mice. Now, Buster, you guys ever eat the frosting off the cupcake first? Yeah. Ever take the inside of the Oreo cookie, eat that? Buster goes around and he gets 3 mice a day, and he eats the heads off all the mice. He eats the heads off that, the head off that one, the head off that one, the head off that one. Then he does something that all the owls do and all the falcons do that I know of. They cache their uneaten food. Now, caching means hiding food. Have you ever done that? I have a candy bar in my freezer right now. You hide stuff at stores that you don't want. Oh, that you want, and then you go back later. Cashier, food cashier, food cashier. So what Buster will do is he'll go around, he'll take those little mouse hindquarters. Now there's a white one and a brown one and a black one, and he'll take them and he'll drape them over the limbs in his building. So if you feed him at dark, right now I'm feeding all the owls at dark, the nocturnal owls anyway. Then if you go back the next morning, there's a little white mouse hanging here, a little black mouse, and then later on he'll go back and finish them off. And if he doesn't, I feed him to somebody else. But right now they're getting kind of, they get kind of nasty. So Buster eats the heads off his mice, like the frosting on the cupcake. He caches the food, and that is something that he does also is eats half his body weight every day. Now, could we do that? Let's think about that. Let's say I weigh 100 pounds. 100 pounds. What's half my body weight? 50. How many quarter pounders would I have to eat? 200. 200 quarter pounders. No one can do that, nor would you like to try. But that's what these smaller birds, and it has to do with metabolism, it has to do with body heat and loss of the body heat as far as size. But these birds eat half their body weight every day, and they can eat prey that's 2 to 3 times their size, especially the pygmy owls. Pygmy owls are these little birds. They hang around your bird feeder. They eat birds 2 to 3 times their size. If they were this big, they would eat third graders. So we have to be glad. Now, the third thing I want to talk about, well, whatever. Baby. I heard a lot of people say baby. This bird's about 8 or 9 years old. Does he grow up and turn into something else? No. This bird stays the same size. As a matter of fact, when birds leave the nest, that's all the bigger they get. Okay? And birds like eagles, when they molt their feathers, when the next feather comes in, it's shorter. So they actually get a little bit smaller. So this is a very common question to people that work in the national park system. Excuse me, sir. Let's say you're in Yellowstone Park and someone from maybe Texas comes up and says, excuse me, sir, what time of year do the deer grow up and turn into elk? That is the most common question asked at the national park aside from where's the bathroom. And so this bird is just a small bird. Now these are nocturnal. They nest in holes in trees and they do a sound, and he's been doing this lately like this. That's probably going right through the MCAT sound, right through his ears. You've heard that before, and I had a friend tell me that his next-door neighbor was backing up his truck all night long. I said, no, that was an owl. That was a pygmy owl or a saw-whet owl. So they're very quiet and secretive, but when you get near them, they're very, very brave. And when we do this show right around Halloween, I like to say that they bring their wing up like Dracula's cloak. And they look like you can't see me, I can't, oh, Buster. And they're very brave, or let's not say brave, let's say unafraid. And a lot of times you can get very, very close to them and see them in the wild. So there's Buster, the saw-whet owl. Thanks, Buster. Yay. Bye. Yes. So these guys, I feed them in the morning, and then I work on I've got a website, raptorsoftherockies.org, that you should check out, right? raptorsoftherockies.org. I love pen. I'll write you guys if you email me. And then I work on a book. I'm writing a book. And then I paint and I weld. And then I go out and I check on the birds. And then I feed the owls. And then I butcher the meat for the birds. And then I come home and I read about birds. And then what do you think I dream about? Yeah. So this is the all bird channel here. This is every single day. And it's been a very, very great honor that the government trusts me enough to keep these birds, because this is very, very, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do this. But I have to tell you why I am into animals, aside from the movie King Kong when I was a kid. A book called My Side of the Mountain. Have you read that? Yes, I bet a lot of people in this room have. I know a couple of my friends here have. My Side of the Mountain is a book written by Gene Craighead George. And the little boy, Sam, first he runs away from home. I always wanted to do that. And I waited till I came here to go to college. And they have an excellent zoology department here. Because remember, you're zoologists? Yes. So I came to college, and then he lives in a hollow tree in the book. And I lived in that tool shed right across Orange Street for a long time. And the other thing that Sam does, the third thing, is he flies a peregrine falcon. That's a peregrine falcon. So I had to wait quite a while until we moved to Florence. And I called up a breeder in Bozeman, and I said, Skip, I'm ready for a bird. And I went over and picked this bird up when she was about this big. She was about as big as a little pigeon, all down. She had just her feathers poking out. She was 3 weeks old exactly, and her feet were about that big around. Their feet grow first, peregrine, all the falcons. And I raised her in a baby playpen in my living room. And so this bird is what we call an imprint bird, or one that thinks I'm her mom. And so she's been doing programs since 3 weeks old. I had her in this kennel, and I would take her to schools at Franklin Elementary, and she would walk out of the kennel when she was a little baby. Hey, Sibley. This bird's name is Sibley. And what's up with the helmet? What's up with the hat? What's up with the blinders? This is called a hood. And this is so she can't see, because if I was driving down Reserve Street and she saw the madness around her, she would go crazy. So the hood it's a leather outfit that fits right straight around her ears, so she can breathe and everything's fine, but she can't see at all. So we're going to take her hood off and let her look around. She's done hundreds of programs since we've had her, and she's checking it out. She's going, wait, where's my food, Kate? Where's my food? And here is her food. Don't want her to see that just yet. Here you go. There we go. Hey, Sib, come here. Hup. Come on, hup. And normally she'd jump right over, but she is very, very heavy these days. Come on. Come here. Come on, Sib. Come here. Now, hard to believe that this bird, you can bring her back from 3 miles away with a whistle. Come here. Come on. Come here. Come on. Come on. Oh, wow, the fastest bird in the world. What a trick. That is not, I'm afraid that's the only trick we'll get her to do right now. Because this is a quail leg. I forgot to ask, any vegetarians that are going to be offended? Now, for some reason, and I don't know why, and this is a relatively new experience for me, the last couple years, is that this causes middle school girls to scream. They scream when they see a peregrine eating food. Yeah, there's some bone. What are you going to do with that, Sib? There. So Sibley's been with me. She's 3 years old right now. And there's 3 different kinds of peregrine falcons in the United States. This is the kind that's supposed to be here. This is a continental. This is a Rocky Mountain Nottam. They call them Nottam peregrines. And that's the kind that I wanted to get. And this bird is on a 3rd license. Remember, there's a rehab, there's a possession. I also have a falconry license. And you have to go through an apprenticeship for 2 years, and then you have a general falconry license, and I have a master falconry license, which is such a joke. Such a joke that I'm a master falconer, but it just has to do with years. But this bird is on her falconry license, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But peregrines are famous for 3 things. First thing, fastest bird in the world. How fast can they go? 230 miles an hour. Now, if you were to jump out of an airplane, you can only go about 120. How can a 2-pound bird go 230 miles an hour? How? By flying. I almost didn't call on you, but you had that look like, I've seen this before, Kate. They're flying, and they're literally flying downhill. Now, seriously, in the wild, they probably don't need to go that fast. I have seen them. I've seen her go well over 100 miles an hour. But what they're doing and the way they're clocking them is a guy has a trained, one guy that I know of has a trained peregrine that he jumps out of an airplane and he throws this bird out the window and then calls her down, and they've clocked her, with a radar clocking thing at about 2:30. And that's a trained bird. Now, are they flying 230 miles an hour to hit a squirrel on the ground? No. Nothing left. What they're doing is they're hitting birds in the air, and they throw their feet out at the last second, and they rake the birds with an open foot. They used to think that they'd punch them with their fist, but now that usually the girls are screaming like crazy by that. And a lot of them are crying by now, too. I'm so sensitive to the cruelties of nature, I think. So anyway, the guy has this trained peregrine, but in the wild, I've seen him just, like last week I saw one just absolutely come out of the sky and right straight down behind a mountain, and I know that bird was trying to hit a bird in the air. And that's all the falcon peregrines will do is hit birds in the air. Almost all they'll do. So they're the fastest birds in the world. Another reason they're so famous, they live everywhere. They live on all the continents. There's some in Europe, there's some in Australia, Africa, some in South America, and here in the U.S. we have appeals, which is the biggest of all the 19 kinds. Then there's an anodum, and then there's a tundrius that lives up in Canada. And the third reason they're so famous is these birds were endangered. They were completely wiped out due to pesticides. And the pesticides developed in the 1940s. They sprayed to get rid of bugs. And I've talked to old people that remember, not old people I guess, but older than I am, they can remember the DDT trucks driving down the road and the kids jumping and playing in the fog of the DDT like this is happy stuff. No. What it does is it caused the birds that are at the top of the food chain that have a very complicated system, birds that have a long food chain, the insects that are eaten by bigger insects, that are eaten by smaller birds, that are eaten by a bigger bird. So the birds that ate birds and the birds that ate fish, top of the food chain, the long food chain, they were affected by DDT and it caused their eggshells to thin. Okay, now they're wiped out in the eastern United States. They're wiped out in Montana. There's none in the state of Montana. So the Peregrine Friends started reintroduction. And this is how Sibley's around, captive breeding, okay? So they took the anodums that were left in the West, and they bred them, and they let them go. They let 6,000 peregrines go. Same thing, put them in a kennel, let them see their surroundings. It's called a hack box, and then open the box, and they'll have a thing called natal fidelity, where they'll fly around, and then they'll come back to where they think they were raised. And so they released 6,000 peregrine falcons in the United States, and they were taken off the endangered list. This is the first bird to ever have that happen. In 1999 at the Bird of Prey Center in Boise, peregrines have made it back, and that's because largely due to the captive breeding and release. So Sibley's one of those birds that came from a breeder and captive breeding of peregrine falcons. And the sport is 4,000 years old, older than I am, way older. 4,000-year-old sport. Nothing has changed. The hood is the same. This is called jesses. This is a swivel. This is a leash. I put bells on her. Out in the field I go, and this was very impressive, wasn't it? Her flying 1 foot. Well, what I do every single day, starting in the fall, is I take her out, I put a transmitter, one on each leg, and it's a little beep, 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 radio transmitter, and there's a different signal, one on each leg. I take her out, I take her jesses off, I look around and make sure there's no eagles, and I take off her hood, and up Sibley goes 200, 300, 400, 500 feet until she's specking out, and they call that waiting on, and she's following me, okay? And I'm walking along. Kate equals food. I'm also her mom, too. So Kate equals food. Watch Kate, because wherever she is, a game is going to come flying out, and she will fly down and hit ducks and smack them right in the head. And that's hunting. And I haven't gotten very many game. She hasn't gotten that many. But we had a TV crew call us up in December. This is Ducks Unlimited TV. This is national TV, okay? And we went over to this game ranch in Manhattan, me and my friend Jay Sumner, who's the head of the Montana Peregrine Institute. And we went over with his English setter. And we met the talent there, and we opened the back. This is so untypical. You open the back of the Subaru, and there's this perch with this bird sitting there. And he goes, so, okay, tell me about falconry, and we're talking. And he has no idea what to expect because he's never been out with a falconer. So we put her up, we take her hood off, and up she goes. Oh my gosh, there's some pheasant. Oh, there's some huns. There's some ducks. There's some pheasant. There's some ducks. There's some pheasant. Hey, there's a guy with a $100,000 camera. Whoosh! She flew right at the camera within that far of a $100,000 lens and flew up over the guy's head, and the guy pulled the camera down like, whoa! Pulled it back up. And the guy's going, this is so exciting. Wow, this is so exciting. And the talent guy, right? And we're running through the fields, and Sibley's flying around and I'm so proud. But finally we call her back, okay, because it's just too much. So the next day we went back, and we had this plan. We'll go sneak into this pond about as big as this room. And there were 50 pheasant, or 40 mallard ducks in this pond, okay? But there were also 3 bald eagles sitting there and 1 over there. Now, there is a problem with a thing called kleptoparasitism. Now, you cache food. Are you also a kleptoparasite? Do you take food from other people if you can? I bet you do. I bet you $100 you do. From your sister. There you go. Now, kleptoparasite means that they're stealing food from other animals. And so what the bald eagle will do is wait for the peregrine to kill the game, kill the peregrine, take the game. So we're very nervous about putting the bird up. But up she goes, flying around. They got $200,000 cameras, and she's flying around. She flew right between me and the talent guy chasing some huns. And then the ducks came up, and she waited for that last stupid duck that wasn't paying attention, that was going, look at the pretty sky. Whoa, I better get out of here. And she hit that duck. Now, that duck probably was ill because it just wasn't behaving right. Knocked it into the water. Jay's English setter ran over, swam into the water, picked up the duck, brought it to the bank. Sibley flew down and took it out of his mouth. Landed next to the dog, and then did that, bap, 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 and the dog jumped up, ran away, and we couldn't find him for over 2 hours. All this is on film for Ducks Unlimited. We found that we didn't find the dog. Some neighbors found the dog. He was freaked out. But that dog had been trained around falcons. So it's an incredible sport. It's very difficult. One of the questions is, does she kill the game and bring it back to you? No. She kills a game, she can't pick that up. It's like you guys killing an elk and throwing it on your back, right? So you have to find her, and that's why you have the transmitters, and that's why you have the bells, and that's why you have to catch her right away. And then you let her eat, and they always eat the head and the neck. Go for it. Let her eat, and that's her reward, and she very much enjoys that. And she flies about 100 times a year and does some flight displays for people, but mostly it's just by myself. So there's Sibley, the wonder bird. What a good girl. Peregrine falcon, and this bird, if you've ever seen me in traffic, this really is funny when people are in traffic and they look over and there's this bird sitting on a perch on my driver's seat, looking kind of up in the window. And then I have a Harris's hawk that sits in the back and looks out the top without a hood on. It sits up on her tiptoes and looks around. So it's kind of funny. There we go. Yay, Sibley. Yay. Okay, now the one reason that she behaves and comes back is because she's hungry. So every day I weigh her, and there's a flying weight. It's a certain flying weight, and above which she will go and sit in a tree, or below she's what we call keen, and that's when she goes out and flies around. Now, how do I get her to come back? I blow a whistle, and she's been fed ever since she was young on a piece of leather that is called a lure. It has meat tied to it. For a long time it did. And it's on a long line that's weighted. And I swing the lure and I yell, hop, hop. And then I throw it on the ground and I yell, ho, which means come down. Don't ask me why. That's the universal falconry thing. And that she's rewarded at the end by food. She lands on the lure and comes up to the glove for food, and she gets to eat a half a quail every day. So that's the sport of falconry. Now, as promised, we have a really scary thing we're going to do now. Yeah, cool. We have newsletters over here, and I got kind of excited about a species. Now, I have to admit, I'm kind of a snob. I really like golden eagles, even though they're kleptoparasites even worse so than bald eagles. But I wrote this story about bald eagles. We have a bald eagle here today, and he has never, ever done a program for the public. We've done one pea green boat, and that was it. And so we're going to reach in here. Now, this bird can't fly, and he has brain damage, so we're just going to have to be very patient, and I'm hoping very much that he will just come out and sit on his perch. But we don't know. We don't know that. So this is going to be interesting. What do you say, McCoy? Piece of cake. Yeah, right. There we go. Turn around. There. I can't tell you all the hours I spent worrying about this, if this was going to go or not. Okay, this is a bald eagle. Hey, that's not a bald eagle. He doesn't have a white head. Well, this is a young bald eagle, and he's 2 years old. He's about 2 years and 3 months or so now. And this bird came from Frenchtown, and some floaters called our Federal Fish and Wildlife Service agent, Rick Branzel, and they said, "Hey, there's a bald eagle standing underneath a nest." And this was in a little bit later in the summer than now. Anyway, they said he's just standing there, and Rick went over there and grabbed this bird and came over to my house and brought him. And can you guess how heavy he is right now? We get guesses. You know what I really like to do? I love to hold a bird like an eagle like this and have the kids guess 200 pounds. This bird weighs about 8 pounds, okay? When I got him, he was half this weight. He weighed about 4 pounds. And you know how you have that big round muscle on like if you're eating a chicken or a turkey? His keel was pointy, he was starved, and he would have died. And what I have to do is stick a tube, and you bypass their crop. You stick a tube all the way down in their throat, and I pumped him full of electrolytes, Nutri-Cal, got his weight back up, and I finally got it so he could stand up. And I gave him some real high-protein mice and that type of thing, and got his weight up, and I gave him to the Grounded Eagle Foundation, who held him for several months, and then we realized he has brain damage. Why? Starvation. Now, this nest, earlier in the year, I had looked down, and I could see 3 white heads in there. So what happens with these large birds is mom will lay an egg and start incubating, and then 2 to 3 days later lay another egg, 2 to 3 days later lay another egg. And so that's why there's this age difference for these birds. This was the runt, this was the smallest, this was the youngest bird, and the other 2 survived. And in the wild, what they do is they'll have that third egg a lot of times just as like money in the bank. It's like insurance. I'm not going to ask if there's anyone here that's the oldest in their family, but I am. Okay, I knew you were. But anyway, so what happens is if something happens to the older chicks, then they'll put their attention to this younger one or the smallest one. Sometimes the older chicks will outright kill their younger brother and sister. So this is one guy that wouldn't have made it. So of all the birds we've had or ever have had, this is the only bird that has an injury or a reason to be in captivity, not related to people. So we're sort of trying to decide, is he going to be okay or not? I named him McCoy. This guy's the real McCoy Tyner, the bald eagle. And he lives in a 30 by 40 foot yard, a 10-foot fence with the top, and he has two golden eagles are his roommates, Max and Nigel. Now, you guys have seen Max in your schools. He's been to every school. Max is a bully, and Max wants all the food, and he wants to show everyone who's boss and go around. Well, he started picking on McCoy right away, and McCoy just stood his ground. And so right now, all 3 of these birds get along, and there's a shaded area, and they all sit very close together for most of the day. McCoy loves to eat. He loves birds. He loves ducks and chickens, and he loves fish. But in the wild, bald eagles are mostly scavengers. They eat a lot of fish, but what they'd rather do is kleptoparasite. They'd rather steal from other birds. And that's why a lot of times you see ospreys and bald eagles having a little tiff. So in captivity, this guy eats just about whatever you give him, is being a scavenger. The white head, what happens with that? Bald, it's from the Old English, it means white. So it used to be bald-headed eagle, and they shortened it to bald eagle. So the white head, it means white head. It doesn't mean he's really bald. That is a sign that they're old enough to breed. Now, golden eagles, they have white in their wing linings and their tail. And as they get older, they lose the white, and finally when they're old enough to breed, most of them do, they lose that white. Bald eagles instead get a white head. Now, he'll go through some intermediate phases. These birds, they don't molt all their feathers every year, so this takes a long time. But he'll have a gray head, he'll have a black stripe through a gray head, he'll have a gray head, then he'll have a white head. And that's at 5 years. That's what means they're old enough to breed. So that white head, and also, can you talk for us? Can you say something, please? He will not shut up at home. I mean, he starts in the morning before dark, or before it's light out, and does a... You ever hear that? Yes, that's a bald eagle call. And so these guys were very, very low numbers. Again, pesticides. They're still on the endangered list nationwide. But the southern bald eagle is in real danger. The northern bald eagle, even though they're not subspecies, they sort of have this imaginary latitude line that separates northern and southern. But these guys were wiped out in the lower southern U.S. They're making it back in Montana. At one time, there were 12 bald eagle nests in the state. That's it. Right now, there's about 400. So they're just, if you look in the newsletter, there's a graph, and it just goes up to there. There's a rouse. That means he's happy. Good boy. This guy, he has a great big water bath, but he loves to bathe in this little pan this big, and he gets his whole body in there. It's so funny. Yes. So bald eagles are still considered endangered species across the U.S., but they're about to be delisted probably this year. And these are birds that really don't tolerate humans. Like, you know those ospreys that are in the middle of the shopping center kind of thing. Bald eagles don't really tolerate people around, so they have really strict rules about human disturbance around bald eagle nests. These birds mate there. Thank you. Good boy. Now, that's the sound I was trying to make. Wasn't I exactly dead on? Okay. So these guys are making a comeback. We've got at least 400 nests in the state. And one thing that's really uncommon is usually those first two live. I always thought, only 2 survive. Never to 3. Very rarely do 3 survive. In this state last year, 37 bald eagle nests successfully raised 3 young. So in Montana, they have a really good fisheries and they have a really good lifestyle. And so that's about 12% of the birds in the state. So there's our bald eagle. Bald eagles are not related to golden eagles. Golden eagles have feathers all the way down to their toes. Bald eagles have a bare tarsus here. They have huge fat feet. And I encourage you at the end to come up and take a look, but please do not try to touch this bird. One of the reasons I've never had a bald eagle in the program is because they bite. They really like to reach out and bite, so please don't get close to this guy. The other thing we have over here are some books, newsletters. We have a thing called Adopt a Raptor, where you can adopt one of these birds. No, you don't come pick up McCoy and keep him at your house for a year. But you get a nice picture of him, frame matted. We are a nonprofit, 501c3, and so everything, all the money that is donated is all tax deductible, and about 45% of it comes from you, from people in the community. We do get grants, but by and large, most of our money comes from adopting birds or helping out a little bit. There's a little boy that fell in love with McCoy last year, and he went down to Farmer's Market, and he played his violin, Grant Larson, and he played Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, 5 years old, with an open violin case, and it brought in enough money to adopt this bird. So it's quite astounding to see what the creative ways people come up with to fund the program. We also have this book. Oh, guess what the book's called? Raptors of the Rockies, and all the birds are in this. Mountain Press published this here in town, and we're working on another one right now about falcons. So the last bird we're going to meet is a great big great horned owl. Yes. And Nigel, you're just going to sit there, right? And what if you'd found this molted eagle feather and you stuck it in your hat and you went down to the mall? You get arrested. Now, bald eagle and golden eagle feathers are protected under 3 federal laws. And so all birds are protected. Eagles especially. This is a golden eagle feather. And so Native American people can have these feathers, but no one else can. And you can't, for example, spray the swallow nest off the side of your building like I've heard of people doing. You can't shoot magpies. See, these birds are all very much protected. So not to scare the daylights out of you, but if you spray the swallow nest off the side of your building, $15,000 fine, 6 months in jail. So people are serious about protecting these birds. There used to be a bounty on eagles, bald eagles and golden eagles. Bald eagles, tens of thousands, were killed up in Alaska. Now you can't even have their feather. So we're coming around a little bit. Okay. I love it when I'm in the store and someone asks me if I'm the rapture lady. By the way, so do that, make my day, okay? But raptors have been a big part of my life, and raptor, truly, the word rapture is used quite often in stories because people are very much taken by these beautiful birds. They have a difficult lifestyle. They have incredible skills as a hunter. And this is probably the most successful raptor in the U.S., this species right here. Successful in numbers because we're looking at 2 formerly endangered birds. What do you think? You want to come out and be bad? Come here. Come on. There we go. There's our big great horned owl. Now I want you to be astounded for one reason. We have the 3 arch enemies in the planet right here together. Peregrine falcon, eagle, and a great horned owl. This bird's name is Jillian, and she got hit by a car as a youngster, would have died that first year, had a bad laceration in her eye underneath her wing, and she can't fly well enough to release. She can fly okay, but these birds have to be pretty much perfect because that game is not just going to give up. So this bird joined us, and we had Miles, the great horned owl, for many years, and he was by himself after Bobo, the other bird, was killed. Miles Davis, the great horned owl. And so this one joined us, and I wanted to make sure they were going to get along. We put them together. Jillian looks up at Miles after she's finally healed, and she goes, Miles looks down at her and goes, We have a barred owl that Graham, after 9 years, laid an egg last spring. So I was wrong about the sex of that one, okay? But this one, we know we have a girl and a boy here. The females are bigger, the males are smaller. So great horned owl is the most common owl in the United States. They live anywhere, they eat anything. They eat insects, they eat fish, they eat crustaceans, they eat small mammals, they eat bigger mammals, they eat skunks. Birds do not, Birds do not have a sense of smell. And so if you find a nest of baby birds this spring, put them back. Put them back. They cannot smell anything. And you can even put them in another bird's nest because they're just feeding them insects. So just stick them in another bird's nest. Birds can't count and they can't smell anything. So, but these are birds that just have such a huge prey base. They live everywhere. They're ubiquitous. Say that word, ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. They live everywhere. They eat anything. They live anywhere where there's trees to roost. Now, are these really his ears, her ears? Those are ear tufts. They can be up or they can be down. Okay, so that's not a good field mark. The field mark is this white throat patch, yellow eyes, black beak. The barred owl has a round-headed barring and black eyes. Come here, turn around. He's going, what is that bird? He's going, I've never seen that. He hasn't. She's never seen that. So these are the huge ear openings. One on the left is lower, one on the right is higher, so they can hunt using their hearing alone. Now, there's no such thing as no light, but there's low light. And they can hunt in very low light. If you're a little mouse skittering around, They don't migrate. They have their own hunting grounds. So they know right where that tree is, right where that bush is, right where that car is. And they know their hunting ground, and they can hunt in very low light because you're a little mouse running, scooting around in the duff. And they hold their head until the sound is hitting both ears at the same time. And they can triangulate and fly down. Let's listen to her flap. Can you hear that? You can't. You cannot hear that. It's very, very quiet. Owls have fringes on the edges, these big nocturnal owls, these big horned owls do. Fringes on the edges of their feathers, and so their flight is very, very quiet. So they can keep hearing you scooching around. They can fly down. They have their toes, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, the square of death. So they go lock in, nee, 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 wah, wah, wah. They fly down, and they're out in the graveyard, and it's a full moon. And then you hear that, and they fly by and you don't hear it. So there's that spooky, spooky thing. Native American people think that owls bring the message of death. Or you can be like my mom and just have owls all over, little owl ceramics and little owl, and I'm sure a lot of people would like them. Look at their eyes. They have huge eyes. Now they can turn their heads all the way around, which is no big deal, but they can go almost completely in a circle because their eyes are stuck on their head because they're so big. Okay? So owls can't turn their eyes in their head. They have to turn their whole head. They also can't see in color. They see mostly in black and white. So let's look at the owl blink, and we're going to have a little staring contest with Jillian here. Jillian's going, look at the, I know Sibley, but who's this guy behind me? See that blink? What did she just do? Blinked her top eyelid. You watch old McCoy here blink, and all you'll see is this nictitating membrane coming across. See that? That is the difference. Now, owls have that human-like upper eyelid. They stand upright. They have a beak that looks like a nose. So there's that human aspect that a lot of people like owls. They also do something really cool. They cough up, what are these guys? Kids, owl pellets. Now, owls can't digest bones, and so when they swallow that mouse whole, they cough this thing up, and for every meal, they form a pellet. And you can take this apart and look at all the entire skeleton of whatever this bird ate. And the kids at Franklin glue the bones back on pieces of cardboard and give them to me every year. So it's pretty cool. They're forest birds. We don't see them. They blend in. Their ear tufts sort of make them blend in. This is called cryptic coloration, camouflage. They're out there. They're everywhere. I've seen them flying through the stoplight at Russell Street chasing pigeons. So they live everywhere. So these birds live everywhere. They don't build nests. But in the winter, Mom and Dad are going, hi, honey. Hi, honey, how's your winter? And she goes, I think I'd like to use that old hawk nest over there. Oh, no, we already used that. Let's use a stick nest here. So she chooses the nest site, and they don't add to the nest at all, okay? But they're very vocal. They do something else called allopreening, A-L-L-O, allopreening, where they preen each other, and they hoot, and they get together. They don't migrate. They're there all the time. Now, they mate for life, but if one is killed, bang! They get a mate like, I'm not kidding, like bang. There's an unmated population of these birds, of raptors, cruising around seeking tragedy. And so they'll get another mate. Same with eagles as well. And so they lay the egg, she incubates them. Now these young are hatched. They're out. If you've seen these birds, the last down to go is kind of like some down on their head. They're branching, they're hopping around in the tree limbs, they're begging, they're going, feed me, feed me, feed me. And then pretty soon Mom and Dad snap and they say, get a job. This will happen to you. And now the young are out cruising around trying to find a territory. So you can hoot up owls. When I was a kid, I hooted up barred owls. I went, oh, 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 oh. Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? I did that back in Ohio. And I could get birds to fly down right next to me. That's why I'm into birds. That's why I'm into animals, because I went outside, right? And I know all you guys will too. And that's what's so important. That you all like to read and you all like to go outside as well. So you're going to hoot like an owl, and everybody does this. Adults have to do this too, or we don't let you out. So I'm going to hoot, and then you hoot. Now boys, you're a little deeper. Girls, you're a little bit higher. But you go, to be a great horned owl, you go like this. Now you do it. Almost everybody did it. That was great. Now you are going to go outside. You're going to have a good summer, good safe summer. And I thank you. I thank the library. This is always one of my favorite programs. Thanks for coming. And what you can do at the end, you can come up and touch Jillian right on her tummy. What she's doing now, this is called a gular flutter. She's panting, she's hot, so we're not going to get near her face, but one at a time you can touch her tummy and pet the owl. Not the eagle, okay? And can you help me? You can help me, yeah. Thank you. You're going to help me make sure no one's near this person. Okay. Okay, who wants to be first? How about you? Because I was picking on you. Come on. You're fine. Can you take that box? Can you? Here you go. There, you're very brave. Here we go. Look at these. I know, let's see. What do you think? What do you think? You know that peregrine? I raised her with a little baby owl like that. She was big. Yeah, they have a tongue. They do have a tongue. Yeah, we're not going to get near that. Max is doing great. Spoiled. He's spoiled. You can have one if there's one in there. Pellet. Okay, one pet and then we go. Wow, I can't believe he's being this good. Yeah, let's step back. Okay. Did you make a wish? Make a wish. And then cut that. Okay? You let me know if it comes through. I'm wishing for world peace. Or a new BMX. God's little princess. That's you. Okay, next. Did you make a wish? I'm serious. Did you? Oh, next time. Guys, make sure you watch yourself on TV. We know he's going to be on TV. What's your name? Jake. My friend Jake. You were. You do a very good job. If you buy one. I think a lot of kids don't get that, and that's why they disappear. Hey, thanks. You guys are the best. He is panting like a dog. He's about 110 degrees underneath all this. You kids, this is the best library group ever. Isn't it? Are you going to get a job and support your parents this summer? You're a good girl. Man, is she getting heavy. She only weighs about 3 or 4 pounds. Thank you. Are you taking pictures with your phone? That is so cool. Screensaver. Go on the website. I'll download you. I'll give you one. I've got a great picture of him opening his mouth. That one that I used on the poster.
Does it have any teeth?
No, they don't have any teeth because they want to be really light and teeth weigh a lot.